what's good, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Closing Beat. Hope you're having a good day here so far. This is our stock market update show where we just cover the market for the day. Try to give you some tips and hints and advice along the way. But of course, we're financial advisors here at Jazz Wealth. We just like to cover the markets, right? So just kind of going over what's going on in the markets. And if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, you actually see the Dow was down. The S&P was unchanged, right? And the NASDAQ was up on the day. What? Right? So this is that disconnect that we talked about. Something's going on. If you've been sort of watching this show for the past couple weeks, you know that when that happens, we have a little trick that we use to kind of tell when the markets are disconnected or everything's fine, right? And so you could tell that something's disconnected today. We'll, of course, cover that. Hey, we're going to cover this Thursday night in our Wine and Wealth series, a portfolio update like you've never seen before. If you're one of our customers, we're going in depth. I'm going to take all the data that I gave you on the last update, and we're going to show how it either worked or didn't going forward. We actually did something interesting where we took the average return of every single day in April, going back to my birthday, and we went back to see what happens. Is there any sort of like common movements there? You're going to be shocked to see what actually happens there. So of course we'll cover that. We're going to cover interest rates and possibilities there, crude oil, consumer sentiment number, one specific little number that actually is also a recession indicator, a very accurate one, and where that's at. All kinds of economic news there, Golden Cross and all the stats that have to do with that, and of course the general monthly performance to kind of show you what's going on there. So if you're one of our customers, hope you'll check that out on Thursday. It'll of course be recorded and put into the dojo, and if you're not familiar, if I could just share with you real quick what the dojo is, you log in, every customer gets access to this, and these are all the private classes that I've done that are anywhere from very geeky to very basic, and so you can actually go back in there and watch any replay. Really cool little feature, and a lot more coming to it. One of the things that is part of it is our dashboard here, where you can actually follow along with me on the markets, and so that's where we're going to start with today. S&P 500, basically flat. I think I even put unchanged on the thing there. We got the Golden Cross. So we talked about this yesterday. Technical traders love the Golden Cross. It's very simply when the blue line goes above the red line. That is the 50-day moving average going above the red line, and both in an upward trending way, which is the case this time. It's actually only happened 25 times in its entire history. S&P 500 goes back 92 years now, 93? 93 years? So only 25 times in that history. And actually on Thursday, I'm going to cover all of the stats on those. But I'll give you a hint, it's not always smooth sailing higher if you were to compare the last 25 times that it's happened. But hey, today, we're talking about today. It was a decent day, right? Unchanged. And why do I say it's a decent day? Because yesterday was really strong. And the fact that it didn't give back that strong gain was a good sign. I'll take it as a win. Remember, the day before the Fed thing here, or this is Fed announcement day here. I'm sorry, this is the day after. So we had the big rally up. It immediately gave it back the next day. Very rare reversal there. So for the markets to have a strong day, now it doesn't look the same because it's a gap higher, by the way. So it doesn't quite look like this day because the market's actually gapped higher over the weekends. I'm going to guide you over here real quick. If you're one of our customers and you have no idea, or you're just joining us here, go into the dojo, click on Wine and Wealth, scroll down just a little bit, or you can search by candlesticks and it'll pull up the 3 different classes that we did, really in-depth classes there. So I'm just, sorry, quick little, I didn't mean to like go sales pitch on you, but just so our customers know. But the point I was making was we held our gains from yesterday. Right? So the markets didn't sell off. That's a great sign. If you look at the NASDAQ, it's the same thing. Great day yesterday, today. It even ticked a little bit higher, so a little bit stronger. Good sign there for the NASDAQ. The Dow, a little bit lower on the day. That's largely because of Walgreens Boots Alliance, symbol WBA. And we'll cover that here in just a moment. So back to the S&P. Here's what you got. About 30%, it's actually 27.7% of the stocks are within 3% of hitting new highs. Think about that. Like if you follow the markets here, I'm going to go back a year. If you follow the markets, we fell 20% on the S&P 500 and we took everything down with it. We have since recovered almost all of that, and 27.7% of all the stocks in the S&P 500 are within 3% of hitting a new high. 34%, or one-third, we'll just say one-third, are within 5%. Now, you can look at that in two ways, right? Data is always sort of subjective. You can look at it and say, well, that means 70% of the S&P has yet to get within 5% of hitting all-time highs. That's not a good sign. Or you could look at it and say, the market's achieved all of this year with only really 30% of the S&P 500. That could be a good sign. I happen to think it's a good sign for me. So I look at it as a positive that there are still plenty of other stocks that are working their way up to hitting all 52-week highs, which in the S&P's case is going to be all-time highs. So really, really good. Not much else to say there. Oil breaking again higher above the 200-day moving average. We talked about this yesterday. It was sort of the stopping point. It did poke above there. But oil back above comfortably now. You've got the continued production cuts over in Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations. But you also have confirmation that not only are they cutting, but they're going to continue to cut. So unbelievable there as far as the strength in oil. Continued stair-stepping, right? Zoom in a little bit here on your dojo charts, and you got stair-stepping. Easy, clean uptrend, not going too far, too fast, right? Anytime a stock shows you that on a chart, a slow and steady uptrend, you don't fight that one, right? That's not when you bet on going in the opposite direction. I'm certainly not saying you buy oil at this point, but you certainly don't want to fight it. It hasn't shown any blow-off kind of top or anything like that. Now, you got the XOP. These are your oil explorers. Look at just this 3-month chart here. Very simple. Can you see where it's stuck, right? Even the most beginner of investor can look at this and say, it's having a problem getting above this 31 area. Just can't seem to do it. I see it. It hits it, it stops. Drops, hits it, stops, drops. Hits it, stops. Didn't drop as far this time. That's the first sign right there from technical traders that this little guy is about to try to break out with the price of oil. We'll see. Sort of interesting that today oil was higher and XOP was lower, but still, something you want to keep an eye on. And OIH, this is oil services, if you follow along, different category, but still in the energy space. There's actually very clean resistance up over ahead that you can see currently at the highs of its range. And if you're a technical trader, and I zoom out just a touch, you like this higher low right here. Just a little bit of a higher low lets you know that there were less sellers on that last pullback than there were before. So a bullish sign, right, if you're following that sort of thing. REITs hit new highs. Our REIT fund is killing it here at Jazz Wealth. We're not I certainly would like to take credit, but REITs are doing all the heavy lifting. It just continues to be a really strong category in the overall markets there, hitting new highs today. So something you want to check out there if you're participating in your portfolio. You'll notice that part of your portfolio it's doing well and has done really well. Communication services, new highs for the year, by the way. This is a new sort of split-off sector here. I might cover this on Thursday, just how everything shifted. I don't know. It's not really that interesting. The point being, new highs today, looking really, really good. And so that's that one. Regional banks have recovered about half of their losses. So this is the Fed decline right here. I just sort of quoted it in the description of this video. I quoted it as the Fed decline there, but it's recovered about half. Technical traders still not impressed. If you're bullish bias on this one, you know you're stuck right at now a new declining 20-period moving average. That's something that this ETF KRE likes to follow. So it's something you want to take seriously. That just tells you that the traders that play along in this space, they will take that seriously as well. And you kind of saw it today. It poked up into it and then started selling off as the day went on. All right, Lyft. Did you buy yourself some Lyft on the IPO there? Hopefully you didn't. I hear there's a lot of shares actually available short. If you're trying to short the stock or you're able to short the stock, I hear that it's actually pretty easy to get shares to short if you're interested in that. I'm not saying it's a short here, but basically today, flat. You just had nobody interested. There was an analyst, Seaport, not a very popular one, not necessarily a good one. They're one of the ones that are out there in terms of their recommendations. They put a $42 price target on Lyft. And you see the price at the moment. So $42. They think it's got a lot more downside here. They said that Lyft's whole approach of assuming that the masses will stop buying cars and just use ride-sharing programs is a, quote, big leap of faith. I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't know. It's not really that big of a deal around here, so I'm not sure what people will do. Walgreens Boots Alliance. Basically, it's Walgreens. Remember, Walgreens Boots Alliance, that whole second part to their name was their corporate inversion that they did, was it 2 years ago now? Where they basically left the U.S. and said, screw you, U.S., we're not going to pay taxes here. We're going to go offshore and still do business in the States, save a boat ton on taxes. This was what started that whole corporate tax argument. They're still structured that way, from what I understand. Anyways, they came out with earnings way worse than expected, down 8 cents lower than expected. Revenue missed. They lowered their outlook for the year, and that's really the focus. They said going forward, we see the challenges that we have in our face accelerating and getting more. So accelerating was the key word. Their stock was lower and held the Dow down today. That was one of the bigger drags on the Dow. Wells Fargo, also a drag here, down 1.25% on the day. S&P lowered their credit rating outlook to negative from stable. Never a good sign when S&P, Standard & Poor's, gets in the way there. They don't like the idea that the CEO left, and they said, look, this just creates a lot of uncertainty for everyone, and so they downgraded their credit rating outlook. Key that we say that there. All right. Yep, I got Delta on the list, which is symbol DAL, not DLA. There you go. Strong day for Delta, which in turn added a strong day for like American Airlines. If you take a look at that one, added 2%. Southwest Airlines, Southwest Airlines, there you go, 0.5% gain on the day, and a lot of it all stems from Delta. Delta had a lot of good things to say today. It's 3% of the transportation index, by the way. If you follow the IYT, I do comment on that. That helped the IYT and a couple other names hold near highs there. But Delta basically said, we got a lot of good things going on for us. We expect a lot of good things going on going forward. They announced their partnership with American Express going to 2029? 2029, I think, was the year. And the biggest metric in airlines is revenue per seat mile. Or did I say that right? How much revenue do they make per passenger in the seat per mile that's flown? And they expect that to tick up 2%, which may not sound like a lot, but look at the size of Delta. If you could add 2% to that, that's like getting 2% on top of whatever it is, $100 billion. That's a big increase there. Investors were very, very happy with that. So the stock was up 6% today. Amazon, you don't really see any change today performance-wise. They're lowering the price of about 500 different products at Whole Foods. I believe this is the third time they've done this. They're trying to make you quit thinking of Whole Foods as whole paycheck. So they're lowering 500 different products, and I think that started today, or yesterday, actually. So if you happen to shop there, awesome. And I'll point out NIO. I know some of you guys like this. NIO, it was up 3.5% today. They delivered 10% more vehicles than expected. They still, I don't have a lot good to say about them, so I'm just keeping it quiet. SUV was the big focus that they sold. 3,989 of those suckers, and they were expecting to sell about 10% less. So maybe something interesting for you there if you are a NIO investor. Bitcoin, if you like Bitcoin, that's making it back into the headlines as well. It looks like it finished the day higher by just over 16%, was over 20% on the day, made it back to 5,000, grabbing a lot of headlines there because Bitcoin has been stupid quiet for a long time now, especially this year. Really nothing to talk about. Is it going to creep back up in the headlines now? After a day like today, I mean, that was impressive. So we'll see. It closed the day 16.85% higher. So that's that one. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I know the answer or can't answer. One last thing, if you're a retirement investor, you got a 401k or traditional IRA, looks like this bill stands a chance. They're trying to overhaul the whole 401k system. I did a video on it way back and named the bills that they were trying to work on. Republicans and Democrats agree on this one, by the way. Probably the most interesting thing to me, they're looking to raise the required minimum distribution age from 70 and a half to 72. I don't know if that's something that you're interested in there. Thought I'd point that out for you. Dividend income, thanks for the videos on the Roth IRA. Love it. Thanks for watching. Whole paycheck, that's not my, I didn't create that. That's the image that they created themselves. Anyways, Amazon owns them now, if you're not familiar with that transaction. And so they're trying to, Costco, yeah, they're trying to make it seem like it's the sort of hipster, better, healthier alternative that won't cost you an arm and a leg. I think they can do it. Yeah, I think they can do it. Cool. You guys have the person in the back say hello. I don't know who you're talking about. You talking to somebody else? Silk Road, no, that's going public. Did it go public yet? Silk Road. I read a weekly IPO article on this one. I'm not sure that it launched yet, to be honest. Oh, you put the date in there for me. Oh, it's on the 4th? Yeah, so I won't have anything to look at there. No real comments on that one. From an IPO standpoint, it's just sort of a bland IPO there. You could check it out if you're interested. I don't know. I don't really follow IPOs like right at the time that they launch. I like to study them beforehand, kind of get understanding of that. And then once they go public, I wait 200 days, to be honest, before I do anything or even consider it. General rule for me. Do you pay taxes yearly on a passive index fund if you don't make any withdrawals? Depends on the account type you own it in, Christopher. 72 years old, man. No, Jose, so they're not trying to raise the year that you can start taking withdrawals. In a traditional IRA or a 401k, when you hit age 70 and a half, whether you want to or not, you must start taking withdrawals from those accounts. They're just talking about raising that age. So hopefully I didn't misspeak when I said that before. Yeah. Behind my left shoulder. There's nobody here, guys. I don't know what to tell you. What do you think of a portfolio with a large mid-cap, small cap, and just an S&P fund? How it highly depends on the fund, by the way. There are tons of different small cap funds that are all over the place. So you couldn't actually just say it that way. One of the things that we do here is we have large cap, small cap, and our aggressive stock fund. We pair those together. Those do really well together. I want to be aggressive, but I don't want to be like stupid aggressive or can't afford to be really aggressive. I like that mix with our funds. Our funds are on our website, by the way, if you want to read through like how they're built and compare them to maybe some that you're looking at. Yep. When will Lyft be worth buying? So I decided I'm going to include that on Thursday in the class for our customers there. I went back and studied the top 25 largest IPOs, and we put together their performance so you could see when the ideal time to own them is, when they drop off, when they calm down, and when they perk back up again. It's sort of funny. They all behave very similar. I don't know if it's something you guys focus on or not, but we'll cover it on Thursday for sure. I have no idea. Like, we got a mannequin in here. There's nobody. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's crazy. You guys seeing things? I know YouTube switched to like there's two YouTubes if you're familiar. If you upload videos, there's actually two of them now, and they're horrible. They don't quite work just yet. You create two different things. It's very weird. Anyways, speaking of that, I will wrap this YouTube up. I appreciate you guys watching. Very nice of you. If I helped you in some way, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow to do this all over again. And if you need anything, you know where to find me. Check us out at jazzwealth.com. Insert marketing sales pitch here, and we'll talk to you later.
Why should you choose JazzWealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.